Well, guys, today is going to be an interesting one.
Did that say a 1-year-old? For a 1-year-old? Oh my gosh. It's already started out there. Oh my goodness.
Every now and then, I come across something on the internet that leaves me not really knowing how to feel about it. And instead of just being a normal person and forgetting about it, I decide to bring it to you guys. So about a week ago, I saw a news article about a TikTok of a woman feeding her 1-year-old daughter donuts for breakfast. Apparently,
1 years old. For breakfast? This is not okay. This is not okay. Already. My God, this is how we're starting off.
it was a really big deal, and people all over the internet were up in arms about it, enough for, news articles to be written about it. So I decided to go through this woman's TikTok page, and after doing so, I'm a little bit conflicted. It seems like this woman has been doing these kinds of videos for quite some time at this point, where she records herself making her kids lunch, and a lot of the meals she makes don't really seem to be that bad. A lot of them aren't great either, don't get me wrong, but it seems like people took these two videos where she did give her kids donuts and tried to turn her into this demon. I've seen some other people make videos on this woman, people from the, we'll say the more unsavory side of the YouTube commentary community. So I wanted to get on here and give my thoughts, and more importantly, see what you guys thought about this situation, because
That's one thing I will say. We're not here to judge and bash people. I just think it's crazy to give a donut to a 1-year-old. That's all I'm saying. But at the same time, you can't tell people how to parent. You know what I mean? It's their children, it's their child. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. And rightfully so. It is their child. Doesn't mean people can't have a say on it. But demonizing her? Come on. That's a little too far. Come on.
seem very split. So let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. Please subscribe.
No.
Alright, so from what I understand, this is sort of the video that started it all. It might be a different one. There are two videos where she's feeding her children donuts for breakfast, but I think it's this one. And I've got to be honest here, maybe it's because I was a fat kid, or maybe it's because I'm not a father, but my honest reaction to seeing this the first time was like, who cares? Like, really, am I wrong in
You're wrong. You're not fully wrong, but you are to a certain extent, especially if it has to do with a 1-year-old.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Giving them a donut for breakfast. I mean, sometimes people have financial hardships. That completely makes sense. If that's the best you can do, that's the best you can do. You can't bash anybody for that. But if this is willingly, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily a good look, but it's still, it's not the worst thing you can ever see. But it does make people like, wait, what? A 1-year-old to this? I mean, to this. A 1-year-old eating this for breakfast? Maybe not breakfast. Maybe like a snack, like during the day or something like that. That's cool. But to start the day off, it's not the worst thing. I truly believe that it's not the worst thing, but it's just more not ideal for most people.
thinking that giving your kid a donut for breakfast like once a month is really not that big of a deal.
No.
Now look, once I went to this woman's page and saw that most of the things she's feeding her kids are not that great, that sort of changes my thought process. But like this video with no extra context, is that really that big of a deal?
It's not ideal. But what is ideal?
All right, so this
Well, you know what? What if that's what the kid actually what if that's all they like to eat or what they tend to eat? And what if you're spending money on other things and the child is just not into eating that type of stuff? This could be the case. We don't know. Or like I said, financial hardships, you don't know what people are going through necessarily. But it's, you know, people going people. That's what I like to say.
Is the meal, if you can really call it that. And like I said, in a vacuum with no other context, I feel like this really isn't the end of the world. I'm kind of surprised this video got as much traction as it did. Now, if every video this woman uploaded was her feeding her kids something like this, I could understand it. But I feel like this is slightly blown out of proportion. It's not good, don't get me wrong, and we'll talk more about that here in a minute. But I do feel like people's horses are a little extra high today, not gonna lie.
Hey, why'd you throw the plate like that? Donuts. Maybe the 1-year-old likes donuts. Good.
Okay, you know what? For some reason, I feel like this one is worse. I don't know, man. I don't like the way these donuts are looking at me. Store-bought donuts like this are always horrible. Am I the only one who feels this way? I have
No, you're not. Actually, no. I really believe that store-bought donuts are, one, they're too overprocessed. Two, it's like it doesn't have the it doesn't have the right proportions of glaze to donut. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes you're eating. I don't even know. I feel like you're lacking on the glaze part when it comes to the store bought ones. I like them fresh. I like when I can see people actually making the donuts. Those are always the best, in my opinion. Who has the best donuts in your opinion? Let me know in the comments.
donuts like twice a year, and they're gonna be from a place that sells nothing but donuts. That's the only way to get a donut. Otherwise, they just won't taste right.
This plant protein thing again that I tried yesterday. She didn't like it just flat out alone. I think a couple people suggested to do it in smoothies. That's what my girlfriend said. But I'm not doing a smoothie right now, so I'm going to try to mix it with her regular milk that I usually give her and see if she doesn't notice. She might not notice if it's mixed with regular milk, and then I'll just put the rest away and try it again if it works.
Alright, so I googled it, and after a lot of research, aka reading the first thing that popped up, a 1-year-old needs about 13 grams of protein every day. So, why are we making this kid a protein shake? You dumped at least 12 ounces of milk into that bottle, and that's already like 10 grams of protein? Are we trying to get this kid into the 1,000-pound club before they reach high school? I mean, what's going on here? I'm trying to go easy on you here, but maybe just do a little bit of research on what your child needs diet-wise. Just a suggestion. Alright, so now that you've seen those, in the background, I'm going to play some of her other TikToks that I found to not be as offensive, but let's talk about why I'm sort of torn on this subject. So let's address the elephant in the room real quick. If this woman was not overweight and was making these videos in a fancy modern kitchen, I don't think people would care about this.
I don't think that's true. I do not think that's true. I don't. Actually, I feel like people might look at it a little bit more harsh. And especially if maybe the parent was a little bit, thinner, then they might be like, are you trying to make the kid bigger? Like, are you not paying attention to it? That's what I think, but I'm not sure at all. You know what I mean? I'm just watching and reacting with you. So let's continue.
I don't. And you can say I'm wrong. You can argue with me about this, but I'm right. Okay? Now, before you go to the comments and go crazy, hear me out, because I'm not even really saying this in defense of this woman. Obesity is something that is passed down. It is a way of life that you learn as a child, and once you've learned it, once you've lived it, it is very hard to grow out of. And this woman is obese, okay? I know that weight is something that is pretty uncomfortable to talk about these days, sort of always has been, but I'm not saying this to bring anybody down or bully anybody. It is simply something that is true in this situation. And that is why people are so upset about what this woman is feeding her children. And for good reason. There's been a million studies on it before. I don't remember the exact numbers, but you can go and find many yourself. But studies have found time and time again that if you have obese parents, you have something like a 70 to 80% chance to be obese yourself. Now look, you guys know I'm pretty progressive. I like to have an open mind, but as a person who was obese as a child, and a person who takes their physical health pretty seriously, obesity and being overweight in general is not good for you. I am not going to ever tell you that. I don't like that. That is a thing people say now. Body positivity, I'm all for it. Nobody should be out here shaming people for the way they look or making fun of them. But at a certain level, it has nothing to do with how you look. It's just about the actual implications of how
It's the habits though. It really does come down to the habits. Like, so if she were feeding the child some, just junk every single day, and there's no mixture, there's no balance, then that's when you can look at her and say, this is absolutely terrible what she's doing. But at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, I saw some vegetables. I saw some. I just hope. I really do hope it doesn't backfire eventually. You know what I mean? I really do. And I'm not just talking about this situation right here, just with people in general. You know, I hope the habits don't take you to a place that, makes you upset, because there are some people who are happy, who are bigger, and believe in body positivity and stuff like that. And there are some people who are thinner than those more obese people, and they're not happy. So it really comes down to your happiness at the end of the day. And I feel like balance will make you happy. Eating too much of anything is not always good.
Nailed it.
So it is great to have that balance in there, in my opinion.
How much you weigh, what you're walking around with, what you're putting your heart through. And it's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. And the younger it's introduced to you, the harder it is to overcome it. And that is why I think so many people are upset with these videos, and I fully understand it. It seems like this woman is trying. I mean, I watched a bunch of her videos, and a lot of her meals are fine. They're pretty well balanced. They've got a lot of different things going on. But at the same time, there's often a lot of processed food. There's some junk food always thrown in somewhere. So it's not perfect, and obviously nobody's going to be perfect, but there's a lot of work that could be done for this woman's children's diet, and I think a lot of people are picking up on that, which is why these videos got so much traction. But these people are forgetting about Hanlon's razor, which basically states don't attribute malice to what could be explained by stupidity. And I'm not trying to call this woman stupid, I'd rather use the word ignorant, but I feel like
sometimes, it just comes down to, what you know. You know what I mean? Like, if you were raised like that and you feel you turned out fine, there's a likelihood that you could do that for your child as well, right? And you know what you know. If you knew better, you do better. A lot of times, that is the case for a lot of people. But again, like we always, I like to mention in this video, you don't know where people are financially neither. So maybe that's the best they can do. And sometimes eating healthier is more expensive. So she does look like she's trying, but for the people to say she's an awful mom, I think that's going way too far. I'm not saying this is the ideal diet. I'm definitely not saying that. But what I'm saying is we don't know what people are going through and what the past, what they've experienced in the past. Maybe their parents didn't have the income or, the finances to take care of them. So they did the best they could do.
People commenting on this woman's videos are acting like she's doing this on purpose. And of course, she's not feeding her kids this stuff on accident. But I feel like this woman at this point probably just doesn't know any better, which is unfortunate. But attacking her is not going to help her out. If you really feel bad for these kids, try and make a positive difference. I did a little bit of digging around, and unsurprisingly, this woman is from the South, which is where I'm from, which also happens to be where obesity is the worst in the United States. And unfortunately,
that's a fact. That needs to be talked about more.
At least stuff like this is really not that uncommon. A lot of parents are just stupid. They don't know any better. They probably shouldn't have had kids in the first place, and they will just feed their child anything to shut them up, and that's how they're raised. Making sure your kid has a balanced diet, teaching them about nutrition, making sure they know how to balance their lifestyle and their nutrition, all of that is an afterthought at best. Most of the time it just doesn't even happen, and it leads to stuff like this. It leads to those children growing up and having children of their own and thinking this is just the way you do it. So I understand the anger people have for this woman, but also, like I was saying earlier, if you're gonna spend the time leaving a comment on this person's page, why not try and be...
Look, it's really erratic, right? It's really everywhere, the meals that she's making. But like, I feel like people are bashing her too much, man. Maybe she's doing the best she can do. We don't know. All I can say is, would it be better if she was more educated in regards to what to give the children? Sure. But you can't make it seem like she's like so awful, atrocious, right? Sometimes there are parents that aren't even in their child's life or are in their child's life, but choose to neglect and do stupid stuff rather than feed them. Those are those cases, Will. Let's not forget about that, all right? Let's just be a little more, I'm not saying understanding, but open-minded. You feel me?